Do you want to be closer to God in prayer? Hi, everyone. This is R.A. Sweeney here to talk to you about another passage from the book Praying with the Writings as part of the Praying with the Bible series. Today, I wanted to look at a proverb, another one in chapter 15, this one a little later on in verse 29, that looks at closeness and distance from God. And so the way it's set up, like most proverbs, you've got kind of like the two-liner, like if this, and in a similar way, if you do something different, you get a different outcome. And I really like the way this one is set up because it starts out with the unrighteous are making a distance between themselves and God. So their unrighteous actions are actually separating them from God. But then the juxtaposed verse there is, or line there is that God listens to the prayers of the righteous. And I feel like that's where we really kind of get some interesting stuff there, because you've got distance juxtaposed with listening and then righteous as opposed to unrighteous, which leads to the question of like, well, I want him to listen to my prayers, not be distant, so I should probably be righteous. What does that look like? And to me, I feel like there is a wordplay there. I could just be reading into this, but the word for God listening to the prayers of the righteous it comes from the same root as the Shema prayer from Deuteronomy 6. And the Shema prayer is all about loving God with your heart, soul, and strength, and with all of those things. And it's a prayer that would have been prayed 3 times a day by most Jews for a very long time, and continuing into the early church, it would have been prayed there as well. And so it's kind of interesting because what does righteousness look like so that God will listen to my prayers? Well, he just tells you the Shema. He will Shema your prayers if you Shema. And so you've got praying, this, habitual praying, and not just like, oh, when I feel like it. Like the Shema was a ritual, like we pray this at certain times. So it's being intentional about prayer. It is loving God with all of your heart, soul, and strength. Jesus connects that with loving your neighbor as yourself. It's the most important commandment. And so you've got this cool juxtaposition surrounding prayer of, if you're unrighteous, God pushes you away. You don't want that. So I better be righteous so that God will hear, which does require proximity. How do I be righteous? Through things like praying and what the Shema talks about. So again, I could be reading into that, but at least that's what I think of when I read that he Shemas the prayers of the righteous and how all that fits together. So I think that makes an interesting wordplay, and hopefully that inspires us to be a bit more habitual about praying and things that we can be praying about to fit into that righteous category. Hope that was a blessing. Thanks, everyone.